This week on Coastal Trails Media, we introduce you to the new series with a preview of what to expect from Forging Trails adventure challenges. We're jumping into some ice diving in Quebec, more complicated and intense than regular diving, and a lot colder.
Guys, another day, another adventure, another video, and today I am back with Action Scuba, and we're going to be doing our ice diver course. So it's 1 day, 3 dives. Currently it's minus 18, give or take, minus 15, minus 18. It's supposed to go up to minus 3, so it's the actual PADI ice diver course, and I'm very excited to be going and getting in the water on this very chilly February 17th. So I'm going to kind of hopefully get as much footage as I can throughout the day and get some cool stuff from under the ice and put together a pretty sweet little montage for you guys. So let's check it out. Morning, Morrison's quarry. It's about 7:30. I left at 10 to 5. And we're about to get out on the ice and check how deep it is, or thick it is, and make sure that it's safe for all the rest of our stuff today. So step 1, check that, then shovel and hopefully cut a hole and get in the water.
Alright, so before we get into the dive today, what I wanted to do was just to kind of give you a brief overview of what I want to do with this Forging Trails Adventure Challenge series. And what it is just to go and show that all of the stuff that we show and do and maximize minimal living, whether that's hiking, climbing, diving, free diving, or anything of the sort, that it can always be pushed to the next level. And so when you do find something that you are passionate about and that you care for and that you want to keep doing, there's always ways to do more, to learn more, and to experience more. And that's what this Forging Trails Adventure Challenge series is all about. Now, the one thing with ice diving, as we just saw, is really important to assess the ice and the conditions before you ever go out onto it and start the process, because realistically, falling through the ice into the water is probably the most dangerous part of ice diving in and of itself. As we get into the water here, you can imagine that this water is just above freezing, and that first moment when it hits your face really does take your breath away. Not in quite the same way as looking up under the ice for the first time, but it's still quite an intense experience. It does take a little bit of time, especially when you're ice diving, to make sure that all your kit and your gear is functioning properly and in the right place. Normally, the amount of time it takes to actually start the dive once you're in the water is a little bit longer than a normal dive, but still very worth it. And so now you can kind of see what it is like to be under the ice. The most amazing part is where the snow has been cleared off the surface and the sun actually makes its way through the ice, and you can see the light spots even from 20-30 feet down. One thing that may be surprising to people who have never experienced ice diving is the clarity of the water. The best time to dive for fresh water is in the wintertime, where there's not enough sun and heat for algae and phytoplankton to grow, as well as there's no wind or anything to actually kick up the bottom sediments, and so you often end up in these situations with 100 feet plus of visibility, which is pretty unheard of for Canadian diving. On this dive specifically, we were at Morrison's quarry, which is just outside of Gatineau in Ottawa, and it's an old rock quarry that's no longer in use, that's actually been filled with a variety of different machinery. Everything from airplanes to submarines, small boats, and even a car. At this point, we've gone to the main attraction, which is a submarine that sits somewhere between 60 and 80 feet, and it really is quite an interesting experience. Obviously, it's not a true submarine, but it is a cool thing to visualize on a dive. One other thing that you may have noticed from ice diving is you're always tethered to a surface support. And so what that does is ultimately you'll always be able to follow the line back to your hole, and you don't risk getting turned around and lost underwater, unable to actually reach the surface. We ended our dive right where we started it, next to the plane. And the plane is a great spot, especially when you go to Morrison's quarry, because it's really easy to find and it's a great place to start. On the whole dive, we managed only to come across a few little fish, a few little things living in this frigid water, but it was kind of fun to spend some time with them, until I ultimately found the one thing that is the scariest thing I've ever seen underwater. An old Barney Stuffy just hanging out at 20 feet. Ultimately, we made our safety stop after about a 15 to 20 minute dive and surfaced. You never get to spend a huge amount of time under the ice because it's just so cold. Eventually, your body quits on you.